Mindset hack for today, I am going to dub as celebrate your own personal Independence Day. And this particular Independence Day, you can actually celebrate socially distanced and from your house, and preferably by yourself. So what date is going to be your own personal Independence Day if you're kind of a person who doesn't exercise a lot of independence? And so it's important to think about for yourself for a moment, what is your level of dependence or independence? And that can be very generation based, gender based, birth order based. So for instance, I am 47 years old. I am a female, and the generation before me, the women were often in a position of being dependent and often not educated and not often given enough airtime. And women my generation saw our mothers, and that can cause a certain response within a woman my age to either do the same as our mothers, even though 2020 that's kind of not acceptable anymore, or we become super dependent. And so anyway, the independence and dependence. So what is independence? Independence is your ability and tendency to go at it by yourself, where it concerns your emotions, your thoughts, your behaviors, and most importantly, your decisions. And I want you to, as step number one, to declare your own personal Independence Day, and whatever date you want to set for that, is I want you to think about what is your history? What is your primitive gestalt, let's say? And what I mean is, what is your relationship when you need to make decisions, right? What happens in your head? Are you like, I want to do it by myself? Or are you getting self-regard or self-actualization issues, self-respect issues, negative self-talk coming in? Oh no, I cannot decide this by myself. Or you get angry at having to make a decision, even angry at others, and whatever your narrative is. And I want you to think about how that was installed also in your childhood, for briefly, not for a very long time. I care more about how your childlike behavior, where it comes to independently making decisions, plays a role in your own choices right now, in terms of independently making decisions and go at it by yourself, to fix your own shit once in a while, and to pay your own bills once in a while, and to not call your parents, or to rely on a significant other, or whatever, right? And so how does that come into play? Birth order, gender, the roles of your parents. And it's interesting how many mixed messages there are, right? Because we're celebrated on one level to be able to stand independently and to walk independently and to go to school independently. But any place where we put in effort, are we celebrated for our efforts that we independently do by our parents? Or are we put down? Or by our teachers? Or by our religious leader, or aunts and uncles, or in adult environment? The efforts that you put in academically at school, how were you treated as a result of that? How were you treated when you worked very hard but failed? How were you treated when you weren't the most talented kid on the team? How were you treated? And that's, how were you treated when you asked for help? Was it, or you never learned how to do things on your own and somebody else did it for you? What is it that you learned from your parents? So, and how does that play a role right now in the way that you talk to yourself inside your head when you need to make a decision? A decision about independence. Yeah? So either claiming too much independence, but this is really about not claiming independence. You need to be more independent. That's why I'm mentioning what's going to be your Independence Day. Maybe you've already had your Independence Day. And I want you to pay attention as to how do you talk to yourself. Step number 2, how do you really talk to yourself when you're doing this? And I'm going to give you 10 minutes to get it out of your system. And like say all the angry things to yourself and all the self-depreciating things. And kind of assume that this is your negative, dark passenger from your childhood. This isn't you. This is an installation. This is a very primitive part of you that makes you angry, that makes you scared. And as a result of that, you look external, just like you did when you were a child. Whether you got it like given by a parent or not, but what is it that gets you stuck? Okay? Then the third step is, and you could do it in one chair and then move to another chair. In another chair, you're going to be talking to yourself like the ideal parent. It's like, hey, you have a difficult decision to make. And this is not an easy choice, but I believe that you can do it. Let's plan for this. How can you mitigate the risk? How can you gain information so you can make your own decision? How good will it feel if you get a job of your own and that you don't have to rely on somebody else sending you money? That you don't have to be in a relationship with someone that you don't even like and treats you shitty, because you can make independent decisions and you can be independent in your own thoughts and your own feelings. How are you willing to be independent in your thinking, your emotions and behavior, because you will no longer put up with a boss that is not in line with your values, a company that's not in line with your values, a job that is not what makes you happy? How can you gain more independence? Like here it is, right? The tricky one. All of you really independent people who are being slave to a boss that you cannot stand. How independent are you really, or are you just financially independent? Is that the chains that hold you down? Independence is bigger than that. An independent person is willing to claim their victory in Independence Day, personal Independence Day, because you will do a job that you're passionate about. You will lead a life true to your own values, and you will be authentically yourself. You know how to respond, to ask for help when you need it. So that's the mindset hack for today. Claiming the personal Independence Day is a concept developed by Dr. Sideroff. If you want to look that up. And this is the mindset hack for today. And I'll see you